All right, hello, Metal Maniacs. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. Absolutely thrilled today. I am chatting with three members of killer California metal band Titan's Wrath. So excited to be chatting with you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us, dude.
Yeah, thank you for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So real quick, we've got Tito, Riley, and Dennis. Let's see. You guys got the bass player, drummer, and guitar player, right? Did I get that right?
Guitar players and bass player.
Yeah, you
Oh,
just
okay.
You get the string section.
Got the string section. Awesome. Very cool. So first off, I just want to congratulate you guys. I know it's been 6 months now or so since you released your latest EP, Will of the Beast, which it just kicks ass. I'm really digging it. I've been listening to it for quite a while now, and I really love it. So yeah, and it seems like it's getting some good press as well. I've seen it being mentioned on some various web pages and things like that, metal pages. So yeah, very cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was a fun record to make, and we're still kind of learning. We're a fairly young band, so it's still kind of work in progress, trying to get it out there and trying to get it to the world. But yeah, dude, I noticed your Jack Panzer shirt, so you're exactly the kind of people we're trying to reach out to. So it's cool that you really dig it, man. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, one of the things I really love about your style is it has that. I mean, it's very fresh and relevant, but it also kind of harkens back to that early 80s American metal music, kind of just traditional American metal music, which sadly I think thrash kind of crushed it in a lot of ways. It kind of got pushed aside, so like bands like Omen and Warlord and Jag Panzer, and it's some of my favorite stuff out there, and I think you guys really capture that really well.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, no, we're huge fans of like bands like Crimson Glory, Jag Panzer, and all that. But that was kind of when we kind of formed, because we all kind of come from different backgrounds in music. Dennis played with Heretic. I don't know if you're familiar with Heretic or Reverend, but he was.
Oh yeah.
And then, but we all kind of come. We also love all the newer stuff, all the death metal and mellow death, and all that. Yeah. But we also love all the the old stuff as well. So that was kind of the goal of the band, was to mesh it, kind of all together, all our influences.
Nice. Yeah, and I think you do that really well.
I think it kind of sounds like if like Maiden and Slayer had an illegal love child, it would be us. You know what I mean?
Nice. I like that. That's a really good description of what your sound is. Yeah, that works. I think that works really well. So as you mentioned, it's a relatively new band. You guys formed in 2019, I think, right?
Late 2019.
Yeah, late 2019. We didn't really have a full lineup until Tito joined in December of 2019. But that was prior to Dennis even joining, because you joined 2020.
Yeah.
So we had kind of another lineup, but the pandemic.
Then Angel came in.
Yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah. The pandemic kind of, we kind of broke up, because we had some issues with some of the other members. So me, Garrett, the vocalist, and Tito, we kind of stuck together, and then we ended up running into Dennis and Angel, and kind of 2020, we ended up re-recording a demo that we dropped under our original band name. And then just from there, once 2021 hit, we got offered shows, and it was kind of like the doors opened up, and we were able to get back out there and actually try to be a band.
Nice. Very cool. How did you guys all meet? How did the band start?
Internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I ended up, I was in so many bands that I ended up kind of just getting frustrated and thought, just let me try forming my own band, and it was like all of 2019 was trying to find members. So that's why, it took forever.
I found Riley on Instagram because we follow the same local radio stations.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Like looked at who liked a certain post. I was like, oh, this guy looks cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we had another guitar player, but we weren't a full lineup yet, and then he ended up bailing on us. So that's how I found Tito, and like you said, through Instagram, and then
I came in to help the bass player.
Yeah. Then we had another bass player, and me and him were jamming in a cover band for a while, and the bass player kind of just quit and just fell off the face of the earth, and I was just like, "You want to come and play with us?" And that's what it is. So,
and then the drummer and I have been friends since we were like 15, so I kind of brought him in.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because you guys have another band together, right? Savage AD.
Yeah, actually, yeah. We were in that for like 13 years or something.
Oh, okay.
Like a band.
Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. So, So what's happening right now with the band? I know I know on your Facebook page you posted a few days ago that you have a lot of shows coming up, especially in the month of July. It seems like you guys have a lot going on. So yeah, what do you guys have? What are in the works right now for you?
Pretty much what we're trying to, like I said, we have all those shows, so July's gonna be pretty busy. I think we're at 4 shows right now in July. And it's kind of cool because it's a little bit all over the place. We're finally reaching down to San Diego, which we've been trying to play down there forever. And so it's kind of nice to finally play. And Brick by Brick's such a cool venue too. So to be able to play there is kind of an honor, But as of right now, we're just kind of busy with the shows. We're in the works trying to get a new music video for Night Terror coming out. So we're in talks of trying to get that all situated.
Kind of writing new stuff. Like we're starting to
Nice.
songs in their infancy,
we have about
barely starting.
About 5 or 6 right now. We want to do an album for our next release. We've only dropped 2 EPs.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of want to try to push an album, see how well that how that goes.
I'm trying to get it a little more intricate, with the guitar work and the compositions and everything.
Nice. Yeah, that was actually my next question was I was curious about as far as I know you've done 2 EPs so far, Into the Abyss and Will of the Beast, and so I was curious if you were planning on working on an album. So that's exciting news. That's really cool. Do you have? I mean, it's probably you said the songs are kind of in their infancy at this point. Do you have kind of a target date for when you're pushing to get this out or?
No, probably if anything, maybe the end of next year or something like that. I'd like at least by this point to be somewhat started with recording and all that for the album. We're still, like I said, it's all like Tito said, it's all the songs are on the infancy stage.
It's like riffs, sending riffs back and forth, and combining riffs, trying to make songs out of them.
Cool. Is it that's one thing I was curious about is the writing process for you guys. How does that work? Is it kind of it sounds like it's fairly riff driven. I mean, your music is very riff driven. So I was curious. Yeah, does it start with a riff? Like, kind of how do you guys write? Is it collaborative? Is it kind of what's the writing process for Titan's Wrath?
Well, usually Riley will bring some riffs and I'll try to build off of them. I have a couple of songs that I'm resurrecting from like past projects that I never used.
Okay.
So it kind of varies.
Yeah, usually Tito and I will start off, and then we'll make some demos out, and then we'll give them to Dennis, and then Dennis will write all the bass parts over it, and then same thing with Angel. We'll give them to Angel, you can check them out. And then typically lyrics go last, so we typically write the music first.
But there's a whole nother session for these guys to do harmonies, because if you notice, the harmonies are pretty killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A whole nother session in itself. Yeah, these guys are crazy on the harmonies, man.
But yeah, so it's like I said, lyrics are last. But yeah, it usually starts off with Tito and I just digging around on guitar and just trying to figure out, what sounds good, what doesn't, and usually a song gets written that way.
Nice. Yeah. Like, to your point, Dennis, I think, some really amazing harmonies. One of my favorite, Hell's Gate.
Yeah,
the intro to that song just kills. I love that song.
These guys downplay it, but they're fucking bomb, bro. You know what I'm saying?
We have fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So does Garrett write all the lyrics, or is it?
I'll typically start them out.
Okay.
And what I'll do is this is what I was thinking for this song, or like usually after the song's written, we'll come up with like a name or something like that, or an idea to pop up, and then I'll usually start off with the lyrics, and then I'll give it to him and be like, does this work? And he'll usually kind of finish them and tweak them to work what's easier for him to sing.
Nice. Yeah, so it sounds like your process is very collaborative and very organic. I love that. I think that's cool. There's a lot of bands out there that have like one person that kind of writes everything, and which is fine. But I think it sometimes, for me at least, it just seems like a better process and a much more artistic process when the entire band is involved, to some degree at least.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you mentioned earlier, we're kind of celebrating the newer stuff on, celebrating all the older stuff, and that kind of just comes from all our old different, we all come from different, backgrounds in metal, music and all that. So it's kind of cool to be able to get those influences and just mash them all together.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good segue. I wanted to ask all three of you, and maybe we'll just kind of go well, my left to right. We'll start with you, Tito. I was curious. This is a question for all three of you. I was curious about your musical upbringing. Like, how did you start playing? What was the impetus? Like, did you come from musical families? Like, what was kind of that starting point for you?
Yeah, kind of. My mom was in a couple of bands when she was younger.
Oh, cool.
She used to sing and play a keyboard. So there was always music in our house, like growing up. After that, I think around fourth grade, I got into like skateboarding. So with that came like like pop punk type music, The Offspring, uh, Blink 182 and stuff like that, Sum 41. But then like as it usually happens, I got into heavier and heavier music, Metallica, Slipknot, all the way up to Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that.
Cool.
And eventually like some of the local bands like Suicide Silence, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of all over the place for me.
Nice. And so did the kind of in terms of like guitar work, when did you start playing guitar?
I was 13.
Okay.
So I've been playing for 17 years or something. I'm
Nice.
30. I'm 33. I think I'm 33 now.
I do
I'm
the same
33
thing. Like, how old am I?
in September. So yeah, it's been a while on guitar.
Nice. Cool. How about you, Riley? How did you start?
I mean, I had very musical parents, but they never played instruments. My parents took me. My first concert was the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was like 6. So my parents were always taking me to concerts, and I saw Sammy Hagar like right after that, and so I always grew up on all the '80s stuff, and my mom has a huge range of music taste, so also really into like a lot of '70s music because of her as well. But guitar wise, I had a good friend who ended up playing guitar, and I'm sure, I don't know if you play or not. I'm guessing you do, but he was just like, you first pick up a guitar and everyone's like, oh, let's form a band, and so he's like, oh, dude, you and I could form a band, and I was like, all right, whatever. And so I ended up getting a guitar, and he actually stopped playing as soon as I started playing. And probably for the first 2 years, I was just learning covers on YouTube until I finally ran into my guitar teacher at a party. He was actually performing at a party, and I just asked him, if he did lessons. And then 2 years after that, I was taking lessons. And once those 2 years were over, I was already playing in bands. So I got really lucky. I had a really good teacher, and I had a really, I was kind of a late bloomer, like I said, I didn't start till about 16, 17. But by the time I was about 20, 21, I was already playing
Shredding.
bands. Yeah.
Nice. Right on. Very cool. How about you, Dennis?
Well, as you can tell, I'm older than these guys, and I like started playing parties like when I was in the 80s, like 80, 81. We were playing like Metallica at houses and shit, and then I joined Heretic and Reverend and stuff, and toured with them and shit, So,
What about younger?
well, that's what I mean. When I first started, it was like 80. We were playing Metallica songs at house parties and shit,
Damn,
No Life Till Leather fucking demo came out.
You just got thrown into it.
Dude, man, I was like went by my friend's house and they were playing Maiden songs, and I just like went there and started jamming with them.
Cool.
That's how I started, man.
Nice. That's really cool. And did you gravitate towards the bass like right away, or?
No, I started on bass right away. It was like trip. It was like I went to my friend's house and they were playing some killer shit, and I knew how it went, and then I just like figured it out and I played it with them, and they're like, "Cool, dude, take it home, learn all the fucking shit." And I was like, "Cool, man," you know what I mean?
Nice.
Like pretty much the first Maiden albums, Killers and all that shit, Accept, all that shit was out. New wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Tank. I don't know if you like Tank, but
oh yeah, I love Tank.
Tank is a shit, bro.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the new wave of British heavy metal is one of my favorite
Raven.
musical movements ever. There's so much great music that came out of that.
You remember like a long time ago, like the country club and shit.
Yeah.
You remember that venue?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had all kinds of bands playing there, bro.
Nice. Very cool. So who were kind of, I mean, I know you guys have mentioned it a little bit, but like who were kind of your big influences as musicians? Like who were the people kind of drove you or inspired you to play?
Yes, like James from Metallica, like I really like the riffs that they did, and
what about King?
King,
yeah, King Johnny, dude.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Andy,
yeah,
because that came later for me.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, but but also people like Head from Korn. I like all the trippy sounds they do. I don't know. It's a hard one actually. There's like so many.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. And I always ask that, but I think it sometimes puts people on the spot because especially as musicians and fans of music, you listen to a lot of stuff, and it's like when somebody's like, "What's your favorite?" Like, I do that as well. Like, who's your favorite band? Like, I don't know. What time? What part of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you, Riley? Who were some of the big influences for you?
Probably Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen. I grew up on a lot of Ozzy and Van Halen, and
Cool.
I actually play in a cover band, so I play a lot of their stuff still to this day. So, Randy was kind of like when you're learning kind of guitar theory, my guitar teacher used a lot of Randy Rhoads solos to teach me see how he's using this scale and see how he's doing that. So I'd say my style more today is more Randy Rhoads ish, just because like I said, my kind of teacher used him as like a reference point for the learning theory and scales and all that. And then I got into Eddie because I saw him doing all the tapping stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to try to learn to do that. And then as I started playing more, there's other guys I got really into Paul Gilbert for a while. Nice. Andy LaRock is we were talking about King Diamond. I remember huge Andy LaRock.
Yeah, he's incredible.
King Diamond to me has no bad albums. All the riffs are just phenomenal. Was it
Glenn Tipton?
Yeah, as I say, Glenn Tipton's another big one. I've always Painkiller is probably my favorite album of all time.
Oh, cool.
So it's like we actually covered Painkiller, and we're working on a couple other tunes.
Where I would say Sad Wings to Destiny, but different age group here.
Yeah. But yeah, I could go on and on. Vivian Campbell, Dio, Dimebag is another great one. Probably the only more modern guy I'm really into is Jeff Loomis. Nevermore. I'm a huge Dictionary fan.
Alexi
Laiho, yeah. But yeah, that's just to name a few.
Right on. Very cool.
Yeah, mine are straight up just Cliff Burton and Steve Harris, bro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
good combo right there. That's
I think that's what really has to be said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Because both of those guys are just a bomb at what they do, man. So
yeah, I love that you said King Riley, King Diamond doesn't have any bad albums. I'm right there with you. I think, and yeah, just live, holy shit, what an amazing production. I've seen King Diamond a few times, and it's always been just incredible. The best was it was on Halloween night a few years back. I think it was 2019. Maybe it was earlier than that. But
where did you see them at?
It was here so I live in Utah, so it was in Salt Lake City. It was at a place called the Complex.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. I have a buddy who's actually in Pocatello, like a couple hours north of you.
Oh, okay, nice. All right,
a couple of weeks ago, actually. But yeah, I caught them, I think, on that same tour. They played in Anaheim at the Grove, and that was my first time seeing them. And I was just at that point, was only really familiar with Abigail and Fatal Portrait, his first two albums. But it was after that, I just went on a binge. After I saw that show, it was just holy crap, this is great, So probably right now, Conspiracy is my favorite, album.
Oh, yeah, great album.
King Diamond's a huge influence on Garrett.
Yeah, our vocalist. If you can't tell, our vocalist as well. He's actually kind of the one who introduced me a little bit more into him. I kind of knew him, from I saw him play with Slayer back in 2017 on the last Mayhem tour, and so that was kind of my first. But I didn't really get too into him. And then Garrett, when flash forward to when Titan's Wrath formed, Garrett kind of was really into him, and so we're actually talking about doing. We did a couple King Diamond's
Mansion in Darkness.
Yeah, we did Mansion in Darkness for a couple shows. We did the
collab one, the In the Fire.
Yeah, In the Fire, the Roadrunner United one or whatever it was, with him on vocals. And then we're looking to do some Merciful Fate too. Yeah, that'd be fun to do some Merciful Fate.
That would be killer. That'd be awesome. Yeah, if you do that, you'll have to post it on your YouTube page. I got to check that out. That'd be cool. Do you have I know we talked about you've got some upcoming shows there locally. Do you guys have plans on kind of touring the Western United States at all? Do you have any has that been discussed at all?
Yeah, we really by the end of this year want to get out of state, you know, pretty much just all Southern California we've already played. Like I said, San Diego, we've gotten blue balled a couple times in San Diego where we were supposed to play down there, and then last minute because of COVID or something like that, they ended up canceling the show. So this is really cool, and then especially that, you know, like I said, Brick by Brick in San Diego is like such a known venue. It's very cool venue, you know, and but we're kind of working, you know, once again, like I said, we're a younger band, you know, so we're trying to get our merch situation figured out prior to booking any dates out of state. So we're kind of hoping by next month we'll have all the merch, you know, ready to go. And then
I'd like to check out the Bay Area.
yeah, as like I said, that's another big place.
Oregon and Seattle and all that shit in the West, man.
Yeah, but
Arizona.
we're thinking maybe just starting off with like Vegas or Phoenix. I've talked to people in both those cities, you know, about playing out there. And Salt Lake City too. I've heard a lot of great things about playing up there. There's the Aces High Saloon. I've talked to people there. So, you know, that would be, and that's, like I said, we're off the 15 freeway out here in Southern California. So it's just a straight shot up the 15, you know, Salt Lake. So that was another place, but yeah, we heard nothing but great things about the, you know, the Salt Lake City metal scene up there. In fact, we had a couple friends, a couple bands, Psycho Mantis and Split Image. They just toured through there, and they said like that was like their favorite part of the tour.
Oh, really? Nice. That's cool. Yeah, Aces is that's a great venue. It's just a cool metal bar. Yeah, just pretty much right in the downtown area. And yeah, I've seen some killer shows. I saw Raven there not too long ago, and that was amazing. And Exciter as well. So,
yeah, from what I could tell from like the pictures and like, you know, talking to people about Aces High, it's pretty much like think of Aces High, but in San Diego, that's Brick by Brick. Pretty much, it's a metal bar, you know. So it's kind of similar. So like, you know, playing at somewhere like that, you know, up in Utah would be awesome. So we just gotta find a show. But we've been talking to people, like I said, we just want to get our merch situation figured out. And
so any promoters that want to get us up there.
Yeah,
right?
It was awesome. But you know, like I said, once we get that merch situation figured out, we'll go firing all cylinders and try to get out of state, you know.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. So I don't know if you guys are beer drinkers or not, but my page is called Brews and Tunes. Oh, awesome. So it's kind of ridiculous, but I've been doing this forever. I pair craft beer with metal albums, mostly metal, and some hard rock stuff as well. But anyway, so, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was wondering, like, yeah, kind of what's a good pairing for you? Like, you know, it's a Saturday night, you're kicking back, you know, after band practice, having a couple beers. Like, what do you like to drink, and what albums do you spin while you're throwing a few brews back?
All I drink is I don't know if I'm allowed to show this on the show, but Mickey's.
Oh, okay, right on.
The malt liquor. I don't know. I tried it when I was 15, and then I fell in love. So Mickey's with any metal albums, and Exodus.
Ooh, yeah, right on.
Recently for me, I'm a craft beer drinker too. I just don't have any right now. But usually, you know, I like going to a lot of different breweries, and I'll take a 4-pack home. So my fridge is kind of stuffed with just various different IPAs, and you know,
nice.
I'm more of an IPA guy. So
me too.
You know, so it's just like whatever's in the fridge, you know, whatever I like. You know, Southern California has a lot of really cool breweries. And actually, I was just, you know, speaking of Salt Lake City, have you ever been to the Beer Hive in downtown?
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite. But every time I fly into Salt Lake to go visit my buddy, we always stop there before.
Oh, right on.
Back to Idaho.
And you didn't bring me any.
It'll be hard to bring it on a plane. But there's a Uinta brewery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a really good brewery too. In fact, my buddy, every time he comes down to pick me up, he always grabs a 4-pack from them. You know, But like I said, for me, it's like whatever. It's kind of the mood, you know. I'm feeling more heavy metal. Last one was King Diamond and Priest, you know. Every now and then I'll find a playlist on Spotify, and it's like all old school new wave of British heavy metal bands, or even like other American, you know. There's a lot of like the new traditional metal bands coming out, which is really cool to see, like that traditional style coming back. So I'll play one of those playlists, and there's just hundreds of bands on there. So it's like you hear a lot of bands you never really heard of before, so that's really cool. Yeah. And then like I said, I do play in an 80s cover band, so every now and then if I'm from really, really drinking at a bar, the cheesy 80s ballads would come.
Right on. Nice.
I'm just like old school, like, you know, like Coors Light and Master Puppets, man.
Oh, there you go. Right on. I love it. I love it. That's funny, Riley. You mentioned the beer hive. That used to be. So I moved. I live about 40 miles north of Salt Lake City, but I used to live in Salt Lake City for many years, and I hung out at the beer hive all the time. Yeah, with the ice strip on the
Yes.
bar. It keeps
Yes.
your beer cold. Yeah, yeah. It's a really cool place, and my it's funny just how it's a small world. Yeah, my brother-in-law used to work for Uenta. He's a brewer, professional brewer. He works for a company called Fisher now,
Okay.
but yeah, he worked at Uenta for a long
Yeah,
time.
every time because I'm trying to think what was the reasoning. Oh, my flight got delayed, and it was like 2 years ago. I was going up to go visit him, and so he was just stuck in Salt Lake, and you know my flight got delayed by like 5 hours, and so he just decided to go bar hopping before he picked me up, and he ended up at the beer hive. He just typed in beer, and it was the first place that popped up, and I landed off the plane, and he's like, dude, you gotta check this place out. So he came pick me up, and we went back, and ever since then, we always make sure whenever we're in Salt Lake, we gotta stop there because it's you know, the other thing too, we just, you know, this last time we went, I don't know if you're a whiskey drinker, but I didn't know that they had whiskey there. You know, you could try whiskey, and so beer and whiskey makes for an interesting combo. But it was a great time. It was that like I said, that's probably one of my favorite bars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool place. Nice. That's cool. Small world. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would love to see you guys play live here in Utah, or if I'm in California, I'll have to definitely you know, track you guys down and find out when you're playing a show if, you know, next time I'm down there. But this was, you know, an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much. For those of you watching, check out in the description below, there are links to Titan's Wrath's pages. Definitely get on their Bandcamp page, check out the EPs rather. You know, download it, buy it. Killer stuff. Especially, you know, if you love traditional metal, you're gonna love this band because they just kick ass. So thank you guys so much for chatting with me. This was great.
Thank you very much, man. We appreciate you, dude.